Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to use three key analysis tools in the WordBank data repository. I should say that there's lots more you can do with WordBank, and I really encourage you to have a play around with the different graphs and functionalities. But the three analysis tools I'll use today should introduce the tasks that we've been doing in the workshop. So the first task is to compare acquisition of different words. And we can do this from the WordBank homepage by clicking on Analyses in the top panel, and then the Item Trajectories option. When this page is loaded, the first thing you want to do is go to this panel on the left-hand column in grey and choose, first of all, the language that we want to analyse, which in our case might be British English. Once we've got the language selected, the measures below this will change. So you'll see that there's this form option. Now this just tells us where the different data from child language acquisition is taken and been put into WordBank. So WordBank constitutes lots and lots of independent researchers' data that is all aggregated together. So sometimes the different ways that researchers have collected the data different from one another. So we can pick the form that is most relevant to early language acquisition. So this is the data analysis tool that was used by the researchers. I really recommend the Oxford CDI form. If we're looking at early word acquisition, this will give us data from children from age about 12 months up till about 2.5, 3 years. So that can be really helpful for looking at early word acquisition. We can also look at whether or not we're interested in what the child produces versus what they understand. Now, again, I recommend going with the default option, which is produces, because this tells us what words children are saying, which is much easier to gather data on than understanding what words children understand. So once we've filled in this information on the panel here, we can start looking at the data set. And as an example, I'm going to type in 2 words from the task, which are woof woof, and you'll see it comes up in a drop-down menu, and dog. So we can compare now the children's acquisition of woof woof versus dog. And here we can see the acquisition of these words over time. As we would expect, as age increases, the proportion of children who know these words also increases. And we can see that for dog and woof woof, this is pretty similar. The acquisition rate is pretty similar. Now, the thing to say here is that we'll notice that it seems that there's a dip in acquisition over time, which may not be completely intuitive because we think that children aren't going to forget words as they get older. The reason we see this dip is because actually the children whose data these graphs are taken from, it's not the same set of children at each month. So it might just be that at age 25 months, there happened to be a lower proportion of children who could produce the word woof woof than at age 22 months, for example. But it's because it's a different cohort of children. So this data isn't perfect, but it can give us a really nice view into early language acquisition. The next big question to ask of this data is, what do we mean by acquired? At what point do we say that a word is acquired by a population of children? And what we tend to use in the language acquisition literature is 50%. So when 50% of children produce a given word, we would say that that is the age of acquisition of that word. So for both dog and woof woof, if we go to the 50 on the graph and move across, the age of acquisition of dog and woof is about 18 to 19 months. So this is a really nice way to visualize data, to look at differences between words and to think about changes over time. However, we might want to look at some more raw data, so the actual numbers, and calculate age of acquisition using that data. And there's a way you can do this in WordBank as well. So to do this, I'm going to return to the analyses screen. And rather than looking at the data visualization tools, if you scroll down, we have a data set called by WordSummary Data. So I'll click on this, and this will take us to a data set that shows the raw numbers that are put into the WordBank tool to create the graphs we've just been looking at. Again, we want to start with the left-hand panel by selecting the language we want to look at, which is British English here. And you'll see that here we have the default Oxford CDI form and producers. So this data set is organized by word category. So we have at the top sounds, then we have animal words. If we want to look at, for example, verbs, we can type in action into the menu here, and we'll get the set of verbs. So you can search the data set using these panels at the top. But what we want to do here is look at age of acquisition. So we can see we've got our list of words, and we want to find the top 10 words that are acquired by children acquiring British English. So to do this, we can just use a simple filter tool. So we have a proportion of children who've produced the word along these columns. So for example, in bar, 33% of children have produced this word by 12 months. One thing we can easily do here is order the data so we see the highest proportions at the top. Now, to do this, I would recommend using the 16-month column, just because it's a bit older, so it's going to be a bit more reflective of what the children are actually doing. And we can order this. If you click it once, it brings the least produced words to the top. And if you click it twice, it brings the top 10 most produced words to the top of the page. Actually, it's the top 25 on this page. So we can see here, Daddy is produced by 67% of children aged 12 months. Mummy by 63%, and so on. So we can use this to look at the first 10 words produced by children in British English or in any other language we might be interested in. Now we want to find out the age of acquisition of these words. So to do this, you can download the data. Now you might want to download the full data set if you want to do a really in-depth analysis of a bigger set of words. But I'm just going to download the current page, which will give us the top 25 words first produced by British infants. So this gives us an Excel spreadsheet that has the list of words down the definition column. Here we have the 25 words we can see here, and the different kinds of words that we're looking at. And then we've got the ages between 12 and 25 months. So remember that age of acquisition tends to be determined by the point at which 50% or more children are producing a given word. So for Daddy, we can see the age of acquisition is already 12 months, probably younger, and Mummy as well. But for example, bye-bye, you can see that children don't get to producing bye-bye until 16 months, where we have 55% of children aged 16 months producing bye-bye. So we can use this data to pinpoint the age of acquisition for lots of different words in children's early vocabulary.